it's interesting to see, and I'd be curious if you guys see some of that stuff on your end, or what you do see on your end, where, you know, there's different people use the same things very differently.
Oh, 100%. In fact, I had this conversation the other day with a loan officer. And look, as a coach, I'm in a different position than most, because I go one-on-one and group coaching with loan officers, hearing their challenges and talking about that. But I get to put on they're paying me, so I get to put on my coaches. They don't pay me to tell them. Hopefully they don't, because generally they will coach with me if they do. But I always treat it like somewhat of like a Venn diagram, right? And I say, like, write this out, right? What you want to hear and what you need to hear, right? And I'm going to tell you what's what, and then you figure out like where that meets in the middle, right? And figure out what changes you have to make, because what you want to hear generally very seldom helps you, right? Because I want to hear a lot of different things, but it's not what I need to hear, right? It's just what I want to hear. We're all human, like you mentioned that before. Like, we're all human, so we all have that built into our DNA. But you know, you can be more right when it comes to the mindset. And here's the thing: is like when someone's, I always say that, like, I'm like, you feel this way based off of, you know, is that your feelings? Do you have any data to back anything up other than your belief that it does? I believe that this doesn't work. And just like, hey, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And my thing is, like, you know, to your point, like, I have other people in your market that are freaking killing it, right? And so what's the difference? It's the mindset, right? It's always the mindset, and it's mindset and work ethic. And if you go in there thinking like, I'm always going to do what I've always done, you do what you always done, you're going to get what you always got, right? And some markets, and I can tell you, I don't care where you've been, I don't care how long you've been in this industry, you've never gone through a market like this with all these things happen at the same time. Have you gone through down markets? 100%. Gone through booms? Yes. Right? But you've never gone through all these things happening at the same time. It creates, you know, where we had 2 back-to-back years, we're running at a consumer deficit, we're definitely running at a deficit of inventory, and you put all these things together, it's just a competitive market. You're going to have to work harder than you've worked probably in your life right now. And for those that I see that are doing it, I posted some stats on a client of ours that did, you know, in 6 months, had over 330 opportunities, had 2,200 some apps, and was doing 15 closings a month. And then I get these emails like, hey, we didn't get any of these types of numbers. Okay, then, like, what are you doing? Oh, well, I don't even think I'm using it. Well, I'm like, that's probably number one.
Let's start there.
Yeah, start with that, right? And look, we got to take some ownership as an organization, making sure that our clients are successful. But here's the thing: is that, like, it starts and stops with them, right? And the work that they're going to put in. And not only that, but having the mindset to do that, because yes, it's going to be hard. You're going to get knocked down. You are going to get pushed around. You are going to have closings fall through. You are going to have, your clients, pre-approved and not win offers. That's just going to be the nature of the business. Rates are going to do what rates are going to do. And so the only thing that you're going to be able to control is between your 2 ears. And so, really, that's what you gotta focus on as an originator, and you gotta believe that you're good, right? Like, me, I believe I'm the best, right? Like, but that helps me drive to make sure that I am the best. Or
sure, of course, we've established a standard and a belief around it. I mean, that's
right. Yeah, like, I mean, you got to do that. And look, it's and even the top, and this is the thing, like, you go to top producers and you actually look at them. It's never one thing, right? So, it's never just like, hey, I'm using this tool, I'm using this company, I'm using this CRM, I have this website, I'm using MBS Highway, whenever it happens to be, they all are variables and they're all important, but it's never just one thing. And the thing about top producers, and they're thinking like, hey, when you're saying they're not worried about a recession, they're not worried about the recession. Do they have bouts of like getting knocked down? 100%. Do they have failures along the way? Sure, but the point is that they're not afraid. They know what's going to happen. They know that it's something that I bring up quite a bit with the people I coach, is that when you worry about something, you are paying a debt that you do not owe, because whatever's going to happen is happen. All you can do is control what you control. And I'll tell you right now, if you get up every single day, put in the effort that you need to put in, and feel that you win that day, and if you didn't, then tomorrow's another day.
I think there's also a compounding issue there, Jason, where, and I could be wrong on this, but I mean, I'm just putting myself in the originator's shoes. There's also this expectation, I feel, where we're holding ourselves up to 2020, 2021 too, right? So we had this, we had such rapid abundance to scarcity like that. Like,
oh, totally. And that's when loan officers like, man, I'm not doing as well. I'm like, dude, nobody is, right? Even top producers that are still doing good about business, they're not doing what they did either, right? So I said, you compare yourself to 2018 and 2019, right? Yeah. Look at those numbers. And then when I tell that, they look, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm up like 15% compared to those numbers. Fantastic. And this market's worse than those markets were, right? And so like, just be happy with that and understand that you got to just keep going and keep grinding. But the biggest thing that I try to tell every loan officer is like, look, how many times have I been at an event talking or a mastermind or whatever? Talking about Instagram or doing video or lead follow-up, like none of that's new. None of that's groundbreaking or changing, right? But it's just like people won't do it. So you understand, like your greatest opportunity is the fact that 80% of your competition will do nothing from what I see right now. They'll do any of this stuff. So all you have to do is do 50% of what I'm talking about. Don't even do 100%. Just do 50, do 30%.
Do any of it, something.
It's going to still be 100% more of the people that are doing nothing. Right. Yeah. So like that's their advantage, and it's just hard. But I also, again, this is why I talk about like kind of, rebelling against the status quo of the industry, is because they're around so many loan officers and branch managers talking about times of this and that and whatever, about this is how I do all that stuff. But again, it's never just one thing. They don't tell you that they're still trading off these relationships and things that mattered when those tactics worked, right? They didn't just get up today and started what they did 15 years ago. If they did, there's no way they're doing the same type of business. It just doesn't work that way. Consumerism changes, right? It's fluid, right? It's an organism, right? It changes season by season, and you just have to understand how to know your audience, what messages are going to resonate, what their challenge is, and then have the confidence that you are the one that's going to be able to solve those challenges. If you do that, you will come out ahead, right? It's almost impossible not to.